Hi, I'm Valerie Espinoza, your New Mexico Public Regulation Commissioner, and I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of our program. I also want to thank you for watching, because today we have a very special guest. His name is Jeff Apodaca, and that's a very familiar name in this town. Jeff's family, you grew up here, and everybody knows Governor Apodaca. I remember him and Clara very well. Clara Apodaca, they've been community leaders for many, many years, and I hope to hear all about how they're doing and all about you. And you know, you're a native, almost a native Santa Fe. You said you were born in Las Cruces and moved here when you were 12. So I like that twist. You know, you've got one foot, like I used to say, I had one foot in Espanola and one foot in Santa Fe growing up. You had one in Cruces and here. So let's hear about your race for governor and why. And I know you've gotten a very early start, which is a huge advantage. I mean, if you really look at it, people that are very eager and willing to serve and wanting to get out there, you're putting yourself out there pretty much ahead of the rest. So
yeah, I mean, to kind of go back a little bit before we kind of get to why I'm running for governor, I guess, you're right. I mean, I was born in Las Cruces, and my father was the first Latino governor, I think, since the early years of statehood, so over 100 years. We moved here when I was 12 years old, 12, 13, went to Harvey Junior High in Santa Fe, which no longer exists anymore.
It might still be a polling place, we don't know. Or is it closed?
I know it's a federal building or a state building, I know that. But I graduated from Santa Fe High in 1980, you know, and so I've always kind of said I had the perfect world growing up with all my agriculture and friends down in Las Cruces and down south in Doniana, and then moved up here. And I had a normal childhood, you know. Even that I kind of, as I say, matured in the governor's residence, and grew up in the political system. Because before my father was governor, he was a state senator for 8 years. So I kind of saw how the political system worked behind the scenes as a kid growing up. But I was like just a normal kid. I mean, I played high school in football. In fact, I learned this a few years ago. Santa Fe High, we won state my senior year. And in football, and we're the only school north of Albuquerque in the big schools to ever win the state championship. So we're very proud of that. And so, and then I went on to play football at UNM and played football and had a very good career there. Got into the media business, but I've never been in front of the camera. I've always been behind the camera, kind of running the scenes, kind of running the business, and spent 30 years in the media business. Started my career at Channel 4 in Albuquerque. Was very fortunate to have an opportunity to go to New York and work for CBS Sports. So I worked for CBS in New York and LA for 10 years. Then went to AOL, and then actually my last 16 years at Univision, the Univision Spanish network.
And that's where I got to see you more.
That's where we got to know each other.
Yeah, so thank you for inviting me to come to the studio and watch the debates with your mom. Yeah. And that was pretty exciting. Yeah,
so, and my wife and I, so we spend a lot of time, the last 6 years I've actually been running the region. I was at corporate in LA for 10 years. We moved home to raise our children. My wife,
Jackie's a love.
And she's from Albuquerque, Manzano High, and she went to New Mexico State, so I married a New Mexican gal. And we have two beautiful boys that are 9 years.
Did you say twins?
Twins. We have twin boys, Asher and Gage. And we moved back 8 years ago when they were right about a year and a half, and we moved back to basically raise our boys and come back home.
I usually see both of you at events for Cancer Foundation or for, what was that, shoes for?
Cancer, Coaches versus Cancer.
Yes, that was a great event. Yeah. That was a great event.
And so we decided to move back home, but as a kid growing up, as the governor's kid, there's some pros and cons to it, right? Obviously, there was the pros to it is I saw how politics worked. I saw how the insides worked. I saw how my father, who's a Democrat, worked with both Democrat and Republican leadership and got a lot of stuff done.
And that's the way it should be.
And it should be.
My grandfather was state senator for many years. He was a Republican. We had our gas station across the street from his restaurant.
That's right.
And he was the Democrat, and the majority of our family we're all Democrats except my grandpa Reggie, right? But in those days, and I would expect back then when your dad was there, you worked together to do what's in the best interest of the public.
Absolutely. I remember in our family we would have to, we'd have breakfast, getting ready for school, and during the session, I totally recall Republican and Democratic leadership there in the morning having breakfast with my father. And there was a rule in our house that whoever came into the house, you got up and went and said hello, right? And so I knew if I didn't do that, I would be in trouble from my father. So I remember going in and saying hi to the Republican, Democratic leadership in the Senate and the House that were having breakfast with my dad. And they'd get together at least once a week. And look, they would put their differences aside, and they would work things out for New Mexicans. They would work things out for the better of the state, right? So that's how I grew up. I grew up looking how things work. But most of the time I was just a normal kid. I mean, played sports, you know, worked at Joe Friday's gas station, which no longer exists, by the way. Was a counselor and worked at the boys club and hung out at the boys club. So we just lived a normal life, even that my father was governor. And then, like I said, we got into the business world and traveled, and we came back home. But you know, never anticipating. You know, I'm 55. Even that people think I might be younger, I'm 55. I started later in life, so that's why I have twin boys that are 9.
I hear you. I hear you.
And so, but never really had no intention of going into politics. You know, a lot of people think that I'm running for governor because, well, he's Jerry's kid, or you know, he's Clara's kid, or
no. You grow up with that, wanting to help people.
Right. That's all we've wanted to do. And we're so frustrated as business leaders and as community leaders and being involved here and being back, we're so frustrated that the opportunities that came my way or that I was prepared for was because of the schools, my family, teachers, sports, everything that really helped me for my opportunities. I don't see that happening today for our youth. So I always kind of say I'm running for governor for 2 reasons. Asher and Gage, my 2 sons, because to me they represent the children and the opportunities for New Mexico that we're not investing in. So I really wasn't expecting to start a political career at the age of 55 years of age. In fact, I don't look like I'm starting a political career. I feel like we're coming in with ideas and a new direction for New Mexico that I don't see our political leaders on both sides basically coming to the table and trying to solve some of our major issues. And that's kind of why we're running for governor. I think I bring a different perspective on the business side. We bring a different perspective on the community side. Look, wherever we've lived, we have always raised money for we didn't talk about it earlier, but my senior year in high school I actually was stricken with cancer. I was the 9th person in the world to ever have my type of cancer. 37 years ago, we had to go to MD Anderson in Houston. Today, we could go right to UNM Cancer Center in Albuquerque.
How in the world did that tragedy, how did that happen? How did you find out? Were you just not feeling well?
No, you know, I actually woke up one morning and just didn't feel good. We went to the hospital and they kind of said, you know what, I was feeling sluggish, I was feeling tired, and yeah, they ran some tests, and all of a sudden they found they thought it was a cyst, and they found out it was a sarcoma tissue, a rare sarcoma of the soft tissue that embedded in my body. It was making me nauseous, it was making me tired, and so it just wasn't normal at the age of 17. And so I did 2 years of chemotherapy and radiation.
That must have been hard, very hard on you.
You know, it was, but I'll tell you right now. I tell people all the time, you know, I got so many cards and letters and so many loves and prayers that I told people back then, I said, you know, I stopped praying. I talked to God every day, and I kind of like stopped praying. I felt like so many people were praying for us, and so many people from the community really helped us through that time, that I almost felt secure without having to pray because everybody was so praying for us. So very blessed and fortunate that I got through it. With the help of a lot of people and doctors and the Cancer Center and the Children's Hospital in Albuquerque, because even though I was diagnosed in Houston, I took all my treatments here. But the most frustrating thing for me at 17, I was stuck in pediatrics. So at 17, you're hanging out with a bunch of kids. And so 20 years go by. I'm one of the first generation cancer survivors of longer than 10 years. It's now been 37 years. When I first recovered from cancer, there were about 1 million of us. Now there's 14 million of us in the U.S. that have recovered and have had long lives.
Oh, they've recovered. I see. I thought you meant had.
No. They've recovered and have had long lives. So there's over 14 million of us that now have survived long through our treatments. You know, we're the first generation to be able to say that. So thanks to doctors and people in recovery. But one of the things that frustrated me the most was that there was nothing there for me to do except play with little kids. When I hit my 20-year anniversary, I was shocked to find out there were still you know, at the time I was at AOL, so we were doing the internet, we were doing a lot of things. So Jackie and I, my wife, we came back to New Mexico and we started a foundation, and we raised well over $1.3 million for the Children's Hospital and the Cancer Center. We built out a multimedia center for kids to really entertain and educate themselves, to help them get through the tough times that they're going through.
So you have the capability too to raise money.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we've been very fortunate. We have a lot of friends outside the state and inside the state. I always said, you know, half the money we raised was outside the state. So there were friends of ours outside the state that were willing to help New Mexico. So we've been very blessed with that. So we've done that. So we've helped a lot of kids. We actually started a scholarship program almost over 20 years ago, and we've helped kids go through UNM and go through other states or other community or other universities in the state, New Mexico State, Eastern, stuff like that. But about 7 years ago, we actually moved our scholarships to nursing, to the nurses. I had found out that nurses were short 600 nurses in our state.
Sure.
The nurses may actually make more money if they have a college degree. The hospitals actually get more federal funding if they have more nurses with college degrees. So we've actually moved our scholarship programs to help nurses out every year to make sure they get their degrees while they practice.
I know somebody that'll qualify.
Well, and actually
send them to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we usually give, you know, it's usually 2 full scholarships a year that we do. So absolutely. But we moved back almost 8 years ago, and we're very, very frustrated with the opportunities New Mexico have that we don't capitalize on. You know, I tell people all the time, I said, think about this. We know how important agriculture is to our community. That was our first industry. We do nothing to invest and help our agriculture brothers and sisters in the business, specifically up north. Instead of investing with them,
now you're talking my language.
Right, we don't help them, right? And our state sits on $21.5 billion, and we do nothing to invest into our own industries. I tell people all the time, think about this. Nuclear, aerospace, computers, Microsoft, computers, nanotechnology, 3D imaging, biotechnology. All those industries were started here or advanced here, and none of them are manufactured here. So we have come up with ideas, we've come up with industries that have left our state and have created thousands of jobs around the country and trillions of dollars of economy, and nothing for us. So our state sits on the 3rd largest investment funds in the country, 14th largest in the world, and we invest billions of dollars into Wall Street. We invest billions of dollars into infrastructure and into industries outside our state, but won't invest into our state. And so we have an economic plan that's going to generate 225,000 new jobs in the state of New Mexico. We have an economic plan that is going to focus on education from 0 to 20. That's going to, you know, my father started year-round kindergarten. He actually helped start community colleges and trade school colleges when he was governor. It's time this generation invests into our kids and starts year-round preschool. But Valerie, we also have to start early family intervention. 72% of our kids last year were born into poverty, were born into lower income houses. Over 80% Hispanic Native Americans. And our state does nothing to invest into our children, into the opportunities. So you're talking about the success I've had in 30 years in the media industry. I've had those successes because my community, my schools, my families, our friends, my coaches prepared me for those opportunities. We're not doing that in the state today. And that's what's frustrating. So we just need to start investing to ourselves. Think about this. And then I promise I'll let you answer.
No, I'm listening. I'm enthralled and wrapped up in what you're saying. You just keep talking.
I promise I'll let you ask a question. But 95% of our economy is small businesses. Our farmers, our agricultures are in our community. We do nothing as a state to help small businesses expand their businesses. In fact, what we do is we entice businesses to come in from outside the state to compete with our own businesses. Now, I'm not against that, and I think we should continue doing that. But we can't grow our own economy without investing in ourselves. So once we invest into ourselves, our economy will grow, our jobs will grow, and guess what? Industries will want to come here.
They already do want to come here.